Welcome to Tunisia's Locs, Beauty Tips, and Potpourri, the channel where we get it all in. You can also learn more about the I Am Melanin Magic brand. Thank you for stopping by. You want long locks,
luscious hair, radiant skin, want to look and feel good?
Then I Am Melanin Magic is your brand.
I Am Melanin Magic,
and so are you. Blood that does not flow clots. So welcome to the channel. Today, I want to give 10 tips for people who are new to the Sisterlock or Microlocks journey, or for those of you who are considering this journey. Okay, let's dig in. Okay. First and foremost, this is just my personal advice, and as you get to know me a little bit more on the channel, you will see I don't want to say I'm a maverick, because we should all be thinking outside of the box. We should all be thinking for ourselves. But you might perceive me as a little bit of a maverick if you are new to the Sisterlocks community, simply because, especially Sisterlocks, simply because I tend to advocate and support a philosophy that says you know best about your hair. And while we appreciate everything that Miss Joanne has done for us in terms of putting us on the map in certain respects, and for helping us to recognize the abundance of our hair and the beauty of our diversity, and reclaiming, I was going to say reclamation, and the reclamation of our self-identity as beautiful melanated beings of the African diaspora with so much wealth, diversity, and richness with regard to the way that we may creatively express ourselves through our hair. While I give her her props, the Sisterlock brand in and of itself is not perfect, but neither is anything else. And I highlight those aspects of the journey that I am most familiar with by way of personal experience, and also that I am learned of by way of the beautiful sisters here on the channel who continually share not only their wins and triumphs, but their tragedies, traumas, and catastrophic events. So anyway, let's talk about some of those things. Before we dig into today's content for the video, I did want to take a few moments to share with you one of the many visual successes that the I Am Melanin Magic hair brand is having. The Magical Hair Growth Serum has been very successful in helping people to restore hair in areas that have long been bald or that have been very difficult to remediate. This client, as you will see, as you continue to watch, has been using the product for 2 months, and in the 2-month period has experienced some major changes. So we celebrate these changes, and over the next several videos, I'll be able to share with you more and more of the pictures that many of you out there on this beautiful channel, on this blessed channel, have been so gracious and kind to share with me over the last almost 1.5 to 2 years. I'm organizing the files now and really making an effort to show more of the success that the products are having now. This is the Magical Hair Growth Serum being used consecutive days, I believe from Wednesday to Saturday or Sunday. And this has been a very hard to treat area for this client. So hopefully you enjoy taking a look at the before and after. We've had various other successes with male patterned hair baldness. Again, the results do vary from person to person. I'm hoping that you will stay tuned for the release of the Magical Hair Growth Serum Accelerator. The group that is participating in the trials, hopefully, I'm giving a shout out to all of you women, will receive your samples within the next 6 weeks. I'm very excited about this particular product because it's entirely different, but hopefully it will be just as effective, or it will pick up where the other serum leaves off. It is definitely worth a try. We're getting some amazing results. I love you guys, and thank you for all your support. The I Am Melanin Magic brand salutes your support. I am Melanin Magic, and so are you. You can purchase your copy of Manifesting Your Masterpiece at Amazon.com or Barnes & Noble today.
Let's talk about
Get
some
your
of those
copy.
things. First and foremost, and you can probably guess it by now, one of the most important things that you need to be mindful of on this journey is that you need to think for yourself. You need to be your own advocate. You need to listen to your own intuition, and you must actively participate in your own rescue. God forbid you should need a rescue while on this journey, but you at the very least must be an active participant in your own hair care journey, which means that you do not just assume because you have this beautiful hairstyle, and it is beautiful, dun, 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 that it is without any fault whatsoever, that it will be a seamless journey for you, okay? Or that it will be without consequence or uneventful, and that you must be alive and fully participating at every stage of the process. All right, notwithstanding the fact that you may be new and may be inexperienced, you possess the most important asset, which is your own intuitive guidance and knowledge of your hair and what your hair needs. Always remember that your hair will communicate with you and it will show you what it needs. And if that happens to be contrary to what someone else is saying to you, regardless of what position they have over your head or where they are on the hierarchical schema, you must defer to yourself. Number 2, let's talk about something else that is important very early on in the journey, and that is braiding and banding. Braiding and banding. I have been on this journey for damn near 13 years, and I just braided and banded the last time I washed my hair. Why? Because as my locks have gotten longer and more weighty, when I wash them, they still get extremely heavy and they're long and they get tangled. And it is just much easier for my babies for me to braid and band. And I do it the majority of the time. I stop for some time here and there, but fundamentally, I'm a supporter of braiding and banding if you have a grid. All right, now if you happen to have knotted locks, thank you, and shout out to Miss Melanie Blakes, you don't need to braid and band. But if you have a grid and you have Sisterlocks and you want to go that route, then you need to braid and band. And this to me is as tight as it should be. In fact, it could be a little looser than this. I usually will not start until about down here. My hair is longer, so if your hair were this long, then you might want to start here. And you braid it to the end loosely, and instead of tucking it in, you put a little rubber band around the bottom, those little tiny black ones, and you wash it that way. Make sure you wash the extremities of the hair, and you do everything that you need to do to make sure you get it clean. But if you don't braid and band, you're going to be more prone to slippage, unraveling, and other potential problems like your hair will buckle or bulge, but it looks like buckling and it's trying to break out of gel and it's doing all this type of crazy stuff, and you are livid. And there's nothing you can do because you did not braid and band. Now, once your locks settle, and for sure once they compress, and that may be different for each person. It took my locks about 5 years to compress. Some people's compress in 3, some people's compress in 1 or 2. It depends on you, but once they compress, then you don't necessarily have to do it if you don't want to. All right? Now, let's moving right along. Let's move on along to the next area here, number 3. All right? You are going to have to make sure that you find a wonderful loctician. You need to find a wonderful loctician. Now, the person who does your install may not necessarily be the person that you remain with all the time. That is okay. The average person that you'll talk to on the street is not with the same person that installed their locks, because we have a lot of dysfunction in the Sisterlocks community. You may end up having a sister who does Microlocks to retighten your hair. And that is a choice that you will make, that you will not blame on me. Okay, I plead the fifth. But if you do, I digress, but for a quick moment, I'm going to say it. If you happen to, then you do need to make sure that it is someone who is familiar with the Sisterlocks code of ethics. if that's what you're following, because if you go to someone and they don't even know about braiding and banding, and they don't braid and band your hair, and it does all types of crazy stuff, and they told you that they were familiar with the system and you believe them, you're going to be mortified. My loctician recently had that happen to one of her clients. They somehow ended up over as a runaway, and they had someone else to do their hair. When they came back, it was a hot mess. And even though she tried to clean it up, subsequent retightenings required that she start all over again. You don't want to start all over again. You don't want to start all over again. All right. So that is something that is going to be very, very important to you. Now, moving right along, let's talk about something else that is important for you on the Sisterlock journey. And I did say finding a loctician, and a good one. This leads into that as number 4, which is when you're looking for a loctician, there's so many things that you have to look for. And I'm so serious. And I'm going to link my other video regarding locticians at the end of the video, because it is so important. Finding the right loctician is not easy. But the reason why it's so important is because of number 4, your retightennings. Okay, retightenings and the schedule that you will be on will determine the length, not the length, the health and the relative stability of your Sisterlocks journey, and what type of foundation you build and what kind of start you get off to. And that can be very tricky, because not every loctician is a loctician that needs to be in someone's hair. And not every loctician that looks like a loctician, talks like a loctician, has a certification like a loctician, and has a building out of which they operate as a loctician is a loctician, or is the right person, or is the qualified person to be in your hair. The retightenings are very important, because outside of the initial period of your retightenings, which may be the first 6 to 8 months, you're going to begin to sort of smooth out and kind of, what is the word I'm looking for? You're going to eventually have an average number of weeks that will need to go by before you go in and get another retightening. Oftentimes in the early part of your journey, you will be told to come back in 4 or 5 or 6 weeks. That's fine. Even in the second or third retightening, that's fine. But after that period, when you're with a loctician that continues to tell you to come back every 4 weeks, I wish I had a bell, y'all, that I could ring. But anyway, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't trade places with what I've been through, Miss Silly. Don't do it. Listen to me. I had a lady tell me that her loctician referred to me in one of her videos and had something not so nice to say, because I was talking about the 4-week retightening schedule. I will tell you that by the time you realize that that was one of the biggest mistakes that you could have made, it will be too late. And by the time you get back to this video to try to revisit what I was telling you, you will have a great sense of not only impending doom, but serious remorse. And I promise you, you will be looking at that loctician, and she might have had so much to say before, but she will have very little to say to you at that time. I don't care if you have fine, low density locks. I don't care if you have locks that we all say grow so fast. Whatever it is you say, because my hair grows fast, and I typically have waited 11 to 12 weeks for the last almost 12 years of my lock journey. In the beginning, I went in every 8 weeks. And then I tried to push it to 10, and I got some pushback because my hair said, no, we're not ready, and I had some knots. So I continued to go in on an 8-week cycle, and then slowly over time, I lengthened it out and lengthened it out and lengthened it out. And you see my hair, okay? My hair is pretty much the way it was the day that I had it installed. And I do not have high density hair. Never did, probably never will, although my lock journey and the health of my hair gives the illusion that I have high density hair. I like to say medium density and probably lower medium density in these areas. Always was that way, was born that way, so forth and so on. If you have low density hair, you're going to want to refer to my density videos, my low density videos. But you want to be mindful of those frequent retightenings. Number 5, the next thing you need to be mindful of is the tension and the tightness of your retightenings, okay? That's important because our hair goes through trauma, all right? You know how you have a situation where a child may be slapped, nobody may say anything, then the child may get a whipping, okay? And then some people may call that a serious offense or domestic violence, but by the time the child gets a beating or a serious whipping, it's called abuse. There's an escalation, right? So your hair goes through stress. Let's call that the lower end of the continuum each time you get your hair retightened. The tighter it is and the more that your loctician is concerned with getting it all the way tight and getting in that last rotation, the more you traumatize your hair each time. Repeated traumatization ends in a breakage, fallout, and catastrophe. Be very mindful of that, which brings me to number 6. Do not be fixated on the grid. Hi, baby. Y'all want to see Albie? Say Albie. Say hello. Say hello. Okay, you got to let me work. Ooh, that was a nice burp. Ooh. So, which brings me to the next thing, being OCD about your grid. Now, we like the grid, okay? I knew when I told Fries that I had about 10 locks in the top after my install that I wanted smaller, and she split the grid for me. She told me the pros, the cons of it, and, you know, I assumed full liability for it. I am a nonconformist. I was fine with that. I wanted a few a little thinner, and I didn't care about, you know, total conformance to the grid. The grid may be beautiful to some of us. I think I like the grid because of the way I have order and running my fingers through my hair, but I don't like the grid in reality because every time I get a retightening, I have the plucked chicken look and I don't like it. I never did like it. I like my hair when it's at about 8 weeks, just like now. That's when I really feel like I'm in my element. I'm in the vortex. I'm in my beauty. That's how I feel. When I come back from getting a retightening, I want to go hide in the closet, even though my hair is like this. Now, if you don't have a grid, you know, and you follow a different method that doesn't have a grid, then that's fine. A grid may not be your issue. But some people are so incessantly obsessive about the grid that they cut, they groom, they clip hairs, and they do all of this stuff that just further weakens your locks. They have to tighten it so tight so that you can see the grid. Beware of grid worshipers. I'm so serious about that, okay? On to number 7, your washing and shampoo schedule. I don't use any conditioner in my hair. I shampoo one time between retightnings, and most of the time is right before the retightening. So I may shampoo every 10 or 11 weeks. Now, that's because I use the I Am Melanin Magic Oil. My scalp is clean. My scalp is happy. My scalp feels good. And a lot of times I also have in a rinse or some color, and I'm always trying to prolong that, so I wash a little bit less. But my hair, I will wash my hair if my hair needs to be washed, but I know how to tell how often my hair needs to be washed. You need to pay attention to your hair. It's always communicating with you. It loves to speak to you. It loves you. And it doesn't want to be oppressed by you. So listen to it. If it's flaky and dry and all of that, it could be because it's dirty and it needs to be washed more. If it's got too much of the dryness, it could be the type of water that you're using and the part of the country that you're in and the mineralization or the lack thereof in your water, and you may need to wash it less, or you may need to wash your hair with alkaline water, or you may need to find something else. But the point is, pay attention to your hair's buildup. Pay attention to the way it feels when it starts to feel a little harder and crispy. It needs to be washed. Let your hair tell you how often it needs to be washed or not. Number 8, have a backup loctician. Make the decision very early in your journey, at least after the first 6 months to a year, to find someone else as a backup in the event that you need that person, and periodically go to that person and throw them a few coins and let them do your hair, so that it's not as though you're in an emergency one day and they don't take you because they don't want to take any new clients. You have to kind of keep them as a warm lead, so to speak, in the event that you need them. With your average loctician today, 9 times out of 10, you are going to need a backup for some reason. Now, if you are your own backup, which is what I'm going to go into with number 9, then you're in good hands. God bless the child who has his own. I always say You need to be an active participant in your hair care journey, which means you need to be self-reliant and self-sufficient. In the event, and there will come an opportunity where you will either be dissatisfied, you will either need to cancel and can't get another appointment, or your loctician may not be available, or she herself may need to cancel, and you may not be in the most convenient place in your retightening cycle, and you may not be able to find someone else. It can be helpful, even if you can only do a certain area, to have an idea about how to do your own retightnings. We just did a Zoom 2 weeks ago, a live Zoom for retightening, self-retightening. Many of the beautiful sisters and locticians were on there sharing some of their feedback. Please search the live Zoom on the channel. That video is about 1 hour and 35 minutes. Watch it. There are also plenty of self-retightening videos that I have on this channel on the playlist. So look in my playlist folder and you can watch plenty of those. I have done self-retightenings fully over my whole head, I believe twice, maybe 3 times. I think one of the times my daughter helped me, so maybe it was 3 times. I always retighten the front part of my hair. Why? Because that's a high traffic area. Why? Because that's the biggest problem area for most people, and the edges are priceless. They are invaluable, and I decided to take over my edges probably 2-3 years ago. Before that, I would do them on my own intermittently. So any problems that I have with my edges, Miss Ali is to blame and no one else. Number 10, I'm saving the most important aspect for last, is the oil. Now, this is I Am Melanin Magic, okay? This is not the oil. These are the fragrance locks. But I Am Melanin Magic is my hair care brand, and it is made specifically to address those issues that we deal with. Now, while it can be used on protective styles, wigs, and other natural hairstyles, it was created for yours truly. Okay, it is what I used on my hair over the years after the first year or so, and it is what I give responsibility to, or give props to, for helping my hair to bounce back, helping it to be resilient. My hair should be much longer and in worse shape by now, but it is not, because I have been using this consistently as I have dyed consistently over the years. As I have plucked and tweezed my hair over the years, as I have taken out my ends over the years and lost ends, all sorts of things. Even if you don't use I Am Melanin Magic's premium hair care blend in the blue bottle, which is a spray pump, then you need to use something. It should be all natural and or organic. It should be phthalate free. It should phthalate free. It should be paraben free. It should have all natural ingredients. It should have essential oils, and it needs to have a powerful synergistic blend that will support your hair care journey. You must put back into your hair what the elements take out. You must put back into your hair those things that will help it bounce back from the ritualistic, traumatizing things that we do to our hair on a regular basis, whether it be over manipulating it, styling it, pulling it back, which I don't suggest, getting your retightenings, and other things that happen to our hair along this journey. Now, those are 10 things that I just told you about that will be your lovely companions along the way, if you remember that these are the things that you need to be willing to do. Just because you're new to the journey doesn't mean that you have to listen to everyone else. Just because you're new to the journey doesn't mean that you can't tell your loctician to go easy, or tell her, please don't retighten all the way to the scalp, or ouch, my hair is sore, my hair hurts. Your hair should never be sore, it should never hurt, and you should never be mortified in taking Motrins and Excedrins 1, 2, 3, or 4 days after you've had your retightening. It's not supposed to be that way, y'all. Those days of having our edges be bald all the way back to here because we've been braiding too tight and doing all that other stuff, those days are over, and you're not supposed to have to experience that again just because you decide to go with Microlocks, Tiny Locks, small size locks, or Sisterlocks. I love you guys. Don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and give this video a thumbs up. I will catch you around, and my information for I Am Melanin Magic, HAIR where I do spiritual healing and readings, and the information for Butterfly Transformations, which is my mentoring site that has my online school information as well, is in the description. All you have to do is click that little down arrow, and that will show you the description. Okay, I love you guys. Again, I appreciate you, and I thank you for everything that you do in the way of giving back to this channel, this Sisterlocks collective community, which is comprised of people and sisters that have microlocks, sisters that have traditional locks, and so forth and so on, is a wonderful community. If you have traditional locks and you want to go to The Real Ronnie, R-A-N-N-I, no, R-A-N-I-I. That's my daughter's channel, The Real Ronnie, R-A-N-I-I. And she has a lot of helpful tips for a traditional lock journey. I love you guys, and I will see you on the flip side. Do not forget to be peaceful, productive, prosperous, living in your passion and on purpose. Bye-bye.